I don't know if am I allowed to say this? Grant's shaking his head. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. I'm gonna get into the secret. Here's the secret. Welcome back. We're back. After a little bit of a break, we're back at the Running with Bosco podcast. I'm Reed. He's Steven.
Hello.
Brand new talk show host. Give it up for Steven.
Very glad to be here.
Yeah. Steven's here, and we're back with our beloved host, Rafa. I'm Reed. Grant's here behind the mic. Give it up for Grant. He's excited to be here. Let's go, Grant. So, gents, what have you been up to this summer? Busy summer. Rafa, what were you up to?
Pretty big things. I was doing an internship with National Security Think Tank / Policy Center here at UVA. We're working on U.S.-China competition.
Smart.
Well, I was the personality hire, maybe. But it was good. Steven, I heard you had a really big summer.
Oh, it was
Steven.
good. It was good. Well, I got married for one.
Let's go, Steven.
That was pretty big.
Let's go, Steven.
Got married right here at St. Thomas Aquinas. That was a beautiful day. And then we went on our honeymoon. And our honeymoon was a little cruise, 10-day cruise. We started in Barcelona and we ended in Rome. That was really the goal. And in Rome, we got the opportunity to meet Pope Leo.
What?
Yeah.
Gosh.
It was a crazy time. So he has his Wednesday audience, and if you show up ready to go in your wedding attire with your marriage certificate, they let you sit nearby the Pope during the audience, and then at the end they let us all go up one by one and meet him. And he's a nice guy. My new friend, Pope Leo.
You guys Facebook friends now? You guys like
Yeah. He added me right afterwards.
That's awesome. Well, Steven, I don't know if you knew, that is our focus for today. We ended Life, Teen, and Edge at the end of our last year by talking about the Pope, right? We had our Charlottesville conclave. Who won? Who won that?
I wasn't there.
I don't remember
Was it
who won.
Mendoza? Does that sound right?
I don't remember who won, but
Grant's chatting from behind the mic here. Yeah.
I remember a Google form cheating vote
There was
scandal.
a scandal of
My
cheating,
goodness.
but the real conclave had no
results.
such scandal, and we have a new pope.
That's true.
And that is our theme for today. We're talking a little bit about Pope Leo, right? Our new pope, the first American pope. And I recently, right around the time of Pope Francis's death, I read a book. I don't know if you guys know who Stephen Colbert is, like the comedian. It's really random, but he narrated this book. I'm big into audiobooks.
Really?
Yes, super weird. But narrated by Stephen Colbert, and then some priest who was playing like Francis in the audiobook. And it was beautiful. I was really touched by the story of Pope Francis, his life, right? Even down to him growing up in Argentina. He was ministered to by Salesian priests, right? Running with Bosco, the name of our podcast. John Bosco founded the Salesian priests, and John Bosco connects all of us here on the podcast as Youth Apostle Brothers, as part of our religious community. And it seemed like Pope Francis had such a genuine love that shined through in his writing in this book. And I was touched. And I think Pope Francis had a really beautiful legacy on the church, a legacy that I think is really characterized by mercy. There's this movie called The Two Popes that, while not historically accurate, has a couple really beautiful scenes. And during one of the scenes, Pope Francis, and this is derived from a quote that is truly attributed to the real Pope Francis, not the movie Pope Francis. He says the church is meant to be like a field hospital, right? We're meant to go out as a church to those who need our mercy the most. And I thought that was beautiful. I know, Rafa, he had some other impacts on the church as well, outside of just mercy.
Yeah, for sure. And, that mercy for others as humans as well, but also that mercy for the environment and that care for creation. He published an environmental encyclical, Laudato Si and Laudato Deum, as well as a 2020 apostolic exhortation. I apologize for my Spanish in advance. Querida Amazonian.
One more time, Rafa, hang on one more time.
Querida Amazonian, dear Amazon.
We have a laugh track now, or a clap track. A clap track.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say,
some buttons.
I was about to say, you better pull out the clap track for that one. I got a 201-day streak on Duolingo.
Nice.
But Pope Francis placed environmental stewardship at the heart of Catholic social teaching, which is very interesting. Being a pope from the global south, the environment is obviously very important in South and Central America. So it's kind of natural to see that as a priority during his papacy. Also, he used it as an arm of diplomacy with the church to the world, actually, by joining the Paris Climate Agreement in 2022. He also had a great legacy for the youth. The World Youth Days, such as the one in Lisbon, the one in Panama.
Yeah. Isn't there
Krakow.
a World Youth Day coming up?
And guess where it is? Does anybody
South
know?
Korea.
I have no idea.
South Korea. Isn't that
2 years, right?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
You gonna be there?
I wish. I don't know if I'll be a youth at that time, but we'll see. But like you said, Reed, reaching out to people on the margins, working as a field hospital, working for young people that may not have been reached out to in the past. And his further encouragement to make a mess, as young people often do, in the church show his lasting impact and efforts to reach the youth. So now with his death, the church mourns a great pope, but also looks ahead to Pope Leo XIV.
Yeah, Stephen, do you remember where you were when Pope Leo was elected?
Do I know? Yes, I was on the volleyball courts at Virginia Tech. Go Hokies! And
We
were all just playing around. Yeah, that's right.
No, Grant, no clap track.
Yeah, all of a sudden people were looking at their phones like, guys, we have an American Pope. And I thought it was fake news, but it turned out to be true. And I confirmed that when I met him myself. He's got an American accent. He sounds just like you and me. Actually, he sounds a little bit like he's from the Midwest, but it's crazy. It's crazy. You can hear him give his homilies in English and give his blessings in English. It's really neat. Yeah, the first American Pope. He's also a member of the Augustinian Friars, which is, I believe he's the first Pope from that order as well, and they focus on truth and humility as a community. So it's going to be interesting to see how that will influence his papacy.
Yeah. I think one cool thing about he's American, but he spent most of his time in Peru, serving as a bishop in Peru, and then Pope Francis asked him to come to Rome to help, and he's part of the committee that chooses other bishops, which I think is really interesting, and it makes sense that a lot of other cardinals would know who he was, right?
Sure.
To be chosen pope, people need to know who you are, to think highly of you, and so he helped choose future bishops, which is such an interesting role, and one that Pope Francis clearly placed a lot of great trust, and then Cardinal Robert Prevost, who's now obviously Pope Leo. I remember when I was reading about this new pope, I was at my brother's graduation, and I kept checking my phone, which I didn't know if that was rude, but I was like super locked in, and I started yelling like, "There's an American pope!" And everyone's like, "Why is that guy in the back yelling?" It was very exciting, and when I saw his name was Leo, I was particularly encouraged because my confirmation saint is Leo the Great, so the first Leo. This Pope Leo chose, his name is really in reference to Pope Leo XIII, who was in the late 19th century and wrote a famous encyclical titled Rerum Novarum. And this document addressed the rights of workers, advocating for things like fair wages, safe working conditions, the right to form unions, and it was a significant moment in the church's engagement with social issues, right? In a non-political way. Obviously, the church doesn't support a particular religious party, but it does support particular rights, especially rights of people. Sure. And I thought it was beautiful to see our American Pope calling out to this beautiful example that he has in Pope Leo XIII and also Pope Leo the Great back in the 5th century. Yeah,
I've heard that Pope Leo XIII was really a powerhouse. I saw his name all over the place when I was in Europe, and it wouldn't have really stuck out to me, but now that we have a Pope Leo XIV, I was noticing him everywhere. But I've also heard that as Pope Leo XIII was facing the challenges of the Industrial Revolution, so Pope Leo XIV is facing some new challenges of a modern technological revolution. And so it'll be really interesting to see how that goes throughout the rest of his time.
And Rafa, I mentioned a little bit about then Cardinal Prevost's role in the Vatican. Could you tell us a little bit more about what he did at the Vatican and maybe his relationship with the previous Pope?
Yeah, so he was elevated, as you mentioned, by Pope Francis, and he worked in the Roman Curia, which is kind of the administrative body that contributes to church governance and administration. And with this closeness to Francis, he played a key role in diplomacy and international church relations. So just as Pope Francis joined the Paris Climate Agreement, Pope Leo also continues that involvement in international organizations and important diplomatic work between countries that may not have communicated with each other. So that's that's interesting and shows the unifying power of the church. And he also continues to promote social teaching and church unity. So if you don't know a lot about Catholic social teaching, read into it. It's very important, very cool. He's putting these things in the public conscious and on the world stage, setting the stage for his influential encyclicals, which I'm sure he's going to be released more of, on workers' rights and the modern world, just as Stephen has mentioned in the past. So all that to say, what has he done in these first few months of Pope? Do y'all have any highlights?
It seems. I think it's ready. Hot take by Reed. Ready? I think it's a disservice when we consider popes to just be like liberal or conservative. I think like we saw a lot of that with Pope Francis and Pope Benedict, and I don't think that's a helpful way to think about the popes. I think Pope Leo has done a great job of living that out, right? He is obviously faithful to church teaching, and he has this beautiful mercy to him that I think is a really powerful and important combo in today's day and age. So I've loved the pastoral closeness that he's shown, right? As Stephen can tell us, having met the Pope. I love the transparency that he's trying to push for in the Vatican. And I think his experience, like Rafa was describing, is really important for that. And I think in general, he's emphasizing the importance of mission work, right? I think in his first homily, he talked about us as we are a missionary church.
Yeah.
We are meant to go out. And I think that's really beautiful. Gents, any closing thoughts on Pope Leo XIV? Stephen, what did you guys talk about?
Well, the biggest thing I took away was actually a baseball that he signed for me. So
What?
Yeah. I got a tip from my friend, fellow Catholic Hokie, John LeBron, who said that he's been known to sign baseballs, and so we grabbed one at Walmart and brought it across the ocean, and we said, "Hey, have you? We hear you sign baseballs. Is that true?" He said, "I've been known to sign a few.
Wow.
If you have the ball and the pen." And so I whipped it out of my suit jacket, and he signed it.
How'd you get that through security?
They weren't too worried about it.
Where is that baseball now?
That is
like
now
framed or something?
it's just on my mantle in my house.
That's so cool.
I gotta get a box for it.
We're gonna buy you a box
I
or
might have to
something.
put it in a more secure spot for now. But.
Well, young people, it's a beautiful gift to be able to walk alongside all of you. I'd like to shout out a couple of events that we have coming up at STA Youth. We have Catholic Fest, but more on that in next week's episode of Running with Bosco. And I'm also, I don't know if am I allowed to say this? Grant's shaking his head. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. I'm gonna get into the secret. Here's the secret. There's a new retreat coming to STA Youth. Brace
way.
yourself. Fall retreat. We're gonna drop what it is on next week's podcast. All right. So get ready. Tune in
excited.
for next week. Learn more about the fall retreat STA Youth that's coming on. I'm Reed. He's Steven. He's Rafa. Thanks for coming. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Y'all.
We're still clapping. Just keep clapping.
Fall retreat.
We're making sounds. What's happening?
Who knows what those buttons do?